Okay, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? So, we were discussing about uh, the ultrasonic flow meter. We have just gone through the basics of it or the very of it, necessity of it. This is ultrasonic flow meters are used where it's a where you want to measure in a non-intrusive way. That means don't insert without inserting anything inside the flow channel. Uh, so that is the biggest advantage. But obviously, this is at some cost. The price is higher. So first of all is, as I have given an example of this one, is that your blood flow meter. Uh, Blood flow meter in our their artery or like this, whenever we want to measure what is the amount of flow rate, you can do it by using the Doppler flow rate. The basic principle is the same as Doppler effect. You know, the uh, you can measure the velocity of the stars with respect to our reference by Doppler effect. That means whenever it is moving away like this, that frequency emitted by this stars and like this, they move to the longer wavelength. That is what we call it redshift, like this. And from the amount of redshift, we can find out what is the velocity of the star moving. Similarly, so basically another type of flow meter is also there, that is a transit time flow meter. I think more details of the ultrasonic flow and ultrasonic techniques of measurement would be detailed in the here there. Next instrumentation device has two ports, but I will be only referring related to the flow rate measurements, that is the Doppler flow meter and transient time flow. For this Doppler flow meter, it is used for measurement uh, of flow containing suspended particles. And here it is for flow measurement of clear liquid. So, ultrasonic flow meter, I mean transit time flow meter, it is if the flow rate is I mean medium is very clear and like this, then we go for the transit time flow meter. And while the Doppler type, here it is, if the flow contains some suspended particles, like this, slurry, and like this. Also, for our blood flow measurements, I told you that our blood contains several suspended particles like white blood cell, red blood cell, and etc. We try to measure their movement or the velocity of movement. In that way, we measure what is the flow rate there. Obviously, the blood or biomedical cases, its measurement is little more complicated because not only the hardware and the corrections and etc. there, but blood channel is not is flexible. That means its area is not constant; it changes also. So naturally, the complexities are more. While we consider mainly in this case are the for the cases to measure the flow through pipelines and etc., where the area of flow is always fixed here. Anyway, just I will try to put it the A there. Possibly you know the Doppler shift, and the Doppler shift type is something like this. This considers this is a transmitter, and this is receiver. So the transmitter sends some ultrasound. You know, ultrasound means whose uh, frequency is more than our audible range. Audible range is 20 kilohertz, so it is above that, around say 1 megahertz, or is the standard of this one. So this is the transmitter which sends some ultrasound wave and into the liquid, and wherever there is a there, uh, moving particle or like this suspended in it, it gets reflected, and this is, suppose this is the reflected one, and this is an received by a receiver there, and say this angle is theta there. And the question is that what is a transmitter? These receivers are basically piezoelectric type sensors or actuators. This piezoelectric type is left. It will be discussed more thoroughly in the second part, that is the next course, instrumentation devices. Piezoelectric means basically, piezo means to press. If we press some material, particular materials, it will generate some charge or some electricity. So, this is the piezoelectric crystals. There are certain type of crystals where they will generate an electricity there. And simple uh, piezoelectric crystals, you must have also seen and used it like this. That is the gas lighter in your kitchen there. Here you press it, across the crystal there is some voltage induced, and the voltage is very high, and if you place some uh, electrode or the wire nearby, then there would be some discharge of it. So there would be some spark or some discharge. and through which we generate some spark there, and through which we light our oven or our lighter or like this. So this piezoelectric type A there, and this is a important point of this piezoelectric crystals are there. There are, it is a, it can be used both as a sensor and an actuator. That means if we press it, it will generate some electricity, and if we uh, give some electrical voltage across this one, it will also change its shape as well as, so it will generate some sound wave, ultrasound wave. So whenever it is acting as a transmitter, that means you are giving some voltage there. So it will generate some ultrasound wave. And if we focus it or put it in this way, there will be an ultrasound wave there. So that is called the transmitter. And when the ultrasound wave is coming and hitting this crystal here, that force or very little force or like this there, that will be converted, can be into electricity, and that's why it is acting as a sensor. So here it is some actuator, and this is actually, it's acting as a sensor there. So we get some signals there. The similar way we do it, our ultrasound imaging and etc., that will be discussed in the next course. But anyway, say suppose the transmitter is there which is sending some ultrasound at certain frequencies. Say suppose it is A there, certain frequency, and here if it is moving like this, so naturally there would be some reflection through that one, and this reflected wave frequency, we measure the reflected wave and we receive it and convert it to again the electrical signal. And definitely what will happen, the frequency at which we are sending it is different from the frequency we are receiving it. There would be a difference of frequency between the sending end, the ultrasound sent and the ultrasound received by the receiver, and from which we measure the velocity there. So, the frequency of Fi is the frequency of transmission while Fr is the frequency of received signal. And what we call it a frequency shift Fd is equal to Fr minus Fi. And using the Doppler effect, we can calculate actually that derivation I am skipping, but you can find it out in some books. Particularly Bentley's book, you can find it out, some of the things there. It's a Bentley's book, it has given more details of it. You can find it out that this is equal to minus 2V cosine theta divided by C in Fi, where Fc is the velocity of ultrasound in liquid medium. That means what is the medium? The liquid, like this, there is a velocity here, and that we get it here. So naturally, what we can say is that if the frequency is negative, That means it is going away if the frequency shift is positive, then it is coming closer to it. So by measuring the frequency shift, we can say that if so we can have that FD is proportional to VDI. So the velocity we can measure in this way by putting this by measuring the frequency difference. But definitely we find that the actual measurement is not that easy. We cannot right now discuss those things, but we can see that if it is a 100 megahertz or 1 megahertz frequency sent by the receiver, transmitter, and if the frequency shift is few hours, so definitely the frequency shift measurement out of this 10 to the power 6 hours, suppose 10 or 20 hours difference, the measurement with proper accuracy is always difficult, and definitely we have to take a more hardware circuits and all that to measure accurately, and also judge whether the frequencies positive or negative and another hardware circuit. So definitely that's why the ultrasounds ultrasonic flow meters are costly, because the associated hardware is things are much more costly compared to this one. Okay. So this is your Doppler shift type flow meter, and this is the thing where you can use this as valid. We can be used only when the particles, the liquid is containing some suspended particles or suspended materials. On the other hand, the transit time flow meter is actually used where there is for clear liquid. Let us try to find out how does it work there. So, what I told you earlier, that the piezoelectric type transducers, they can work both as a sensor as well as an actuator. And that's why I told that is a transducer that can have any of them. So basically, I am just giving a common name, that is a transducer. So two transducer you are using, both can work as an actuator as well as a transmitter as well as the receiver. So because depending upon the type of signal you just give it like this. So we just give, both of them can give you some work as a transmitter as well as receiver. So I have placed, it's all clear liquid, velocity V is flowing, and I have placed two transducers, transducer A and transducer B. And for both of them, both of them here are used for as a transmitter for some time, as well as as a receiver for some time. So these are the things there. So what we can say is that stage 1, A acts as transmitter, and B as receiver. Say suppose I have a diameter of D there, and so it is passing, A is acting as a transmitter, B as a receiver there. So the point is that we can say, and this is our L, the path of this one there. So we can say that L is rather D is equal to L into sine theta. This is the thing, we know that one. So L is equal to rather D by sine theta. So what we can say, trying to transmit a pulse from A to B. What is happening is that we send it a pulse. Pulse means in this way basically very high frequency ultrasound for some time. Just like a pulse, what we can got it like this. So this ultrasound is sent at this point at time T1, and this is received at this end by a at time T2. So T2 minus T1 is what we'll call it a transit time. So time to transmit, what we call it a transit time, or from A to B. What will be happening this one? That is equal to T A to B is equal to L divided by, what is the velocity of ultrasound from A to B? It would be definitely, you see it is coming this one. So if the C is the velocity of sound, so it is coming against it has a component which is against the velocity. So naturally it has to act as against the velocity there. So what we can say is that is equal to C minus V of cosine theta. Agreed? So C is the velocity, and it has velocity, and the liquid velocity V has a component which is against this flow of the ultrasound in this direction. So that has got a component. So it is C minus V cos theta. So stage 1 is the time, I just note it like this. And the stage 2 is just the reverse. B access transmitter, and A as,
Sir, if it has a component against voltage.
just a minute, A as a receiver. Please tell me.
Sir, that V cos theta is against the,
Huh?
in opposite direction. So,
Huh?
sir, would it be plus?
This is C. And what is this? This is V cos theta. A is the transmitter and B is the receiver. So that means effectively what is the velocity ultrasound is traveling from this point to this point, it will be
Okay.
C minus V cos theta.
Okay, sir.
On the other hand, TBA, what will be the value? L divided by what will happen? In this case, it has got V has a component which is V cos theta is aiding the sound to travel. So naturally it would be C plus of V cos theta. Okay. So what we get is that this is a difference of the time I measure it. What is the difference time? This delta t is equal to TAB minus T of BA. Agreed? TAB is more and minus T of BA. So what you can write is that L divided by C to 1 minus V by C cos theta minus of L I think it is not needed. Okay, just I simply put it in this way. It is C minus V cos theta minus L divided by C plus V cos theta. So this is equal to C square minus V square cos square theta. And here it would be what? L into what is that? 2V cosine theta. Okay? And I can say that this is equal to L into 2V cosine theta, and here I just take it C square into 1 minus V square by C square cosine theta, like this. And we know that V square by C square is much small than 1 because C is a very high velocity. You know, some sound, ultrasound, sound velocity in water is 1500 meter per second, while this is traveling is that maybe maximum 10 meter per second maximum, not even that. So naturally, we can neglect that one. So what we can write is that is equal to 2V, and instead of L, what we can write it? I can use this one, that is d by sine theta. So what we can say it is d cot theta, because L instead of L I just put it d by sine theta, and cos theta by sine theta is equal to cot theta divided by c square. So ultimately, what this is an approximate here. Ultimately, we say that is proportional to V. Okay. So what we can say is that you just measure the pulse length there. You measure the time for traveling this one for one A to B and B to A, but that measurement must be very accurate and find out the difference, and we can uh, measure the difference, and that is proportional to the velocity. So you don't have to, that is a thing there, you don't have to do anything. You will have to only strap the two transducers at two different places of the area and simply uh, uh, of the pipe there, and from there it can tell you what is the flow rate, what is the flow, what how much is the flow rate. It is going on like this, and that is a it can exactly tell you what is the so without intruding this one. But the sophistication of the measurement can be understood.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Uh,
So, wouldn't the flow of water in the pipe change the point of arrival of the signal?
I couldn't get your point.
Sir, like I am comparing this situation to a boat crossing a river. Okay,
Uh,
so when the river is moving, the boat does not reach its destined point. It is a shift. It is shifted a bit. So wouldn't the signal be also shifted a bit?
oh, your point is that okay. Uh, this we are traveling, there is a wind velocity, and this is the thing. The thing is that the wind velocity, because of the wind velocity or like this there, wind velocity and this one is always very, and the river is also long enough, I mean wide enough. So there is all comparable. But in this case, definitely the sound is very high speed of the ultrasound there. Three, as I told you, 300 meter per second. And V is maybe hardly 1 meter per second or like this. But if you look at it, that boat is traveling, we're right in pointing out this one. But the boat is traveling and that wind is blowing, but that will be can be neglected because this is a thing which we are already taking it into a consideration of this one. We are assuming it is very low, but in that way, the boat velocity and the wind velocity, they are not. There is much difference there. So
Okay,
that's
thank you,
why
sir.
whenever there is no there hardly any I mean, any speed of wind or like this, there we will get almost in the straight way. You are right, but here it is not coming into area. So what we can say is that, but we can take an example and what would be the difficulty is that if we take an example, capital D is equal to 0.1 meter. So 10 centimeter is that one, while it is 300 meter per second. You see the velocity. So naturally this pipe diameter is also very small. That's why it will not deviate. And say theta is equal to 45 degree. So that cos theta comes to be is equal to 1. V is equal to 1 meter per second. And C for water is equal to 1500 meter per second. Okay. So if we look at it, if we put the values there, you will get it delta T. The value is 89 nanosecond. Just imagine, it is 89 nanosecond. This time difference we will have to measure accurately. So naturally, you can imagine that measurement of time difference or like this is required to that level of resolution and also to that level of accuracy. So that's why, because this time you need to, because this time measurement is really difficult. Sometimes you can have it a little bit more if we make the angle small and put it a little bit away. Uh, but that is also not that difference it will be, but you can make a little bit away of this one. But at the same time, more it goes, the signal also attenuates. So we need to sense it with a higher sensitivity. So there are pros and cons, but I am just telling you, and you can also appreciate why they are so much costly. Okay, but this is very elegant. What we can say it like this. This is elegant, and these are the mainly the two methods which we can measure the flow rate inside a concealed, I mean, inside a complete closed pipeline and like this, without from outside. Agreed? Any other question? If it is not, I will close this chapter, but before that, I will be discussing about one example or problem there uh, on electromagnetic flow meter. Did anyone could get time to try it? Of course, I gave it in late night, I mean in the evening, yesterday. But anyway, what was the problem? Just a minute. Did anyone try it? So please open this one. Uh, the statement of the problem is a bit long, but doesn't matter. The problem takes very little time. An electromagnetic flow meter is used to measure the average flow rate of an effluent in a pipe of diameter 5 centimeter. The velocity profile is assumed to be uniform. So what is an electromagnetic flow meter? Like this, and its D is 5 centimeter. Okay. The velocity profile is assumed to be uniform. So the flow rate is there, and we know the electromagnetic flow meter. It has got a flux density B there, and there are two electrodes on the two sides of it, platinum electrodes, and as the velocity V is there, we will get that this is the output of that one. I call it E0. Okay. So what is it? The flux density in the liquid has a peak to, okay, peak value, okay. Okay, I just make it peak to peak. Okay, peak value I think it is. I think there is some, okay. B peak is equal to 0.1 Tesla. So because the flux density is not uniform, because we have to a time varying here there, so in that case it would be a different one there. Okay. So what is happening is that this is a, okay, I just make it a peak to peak value because I made a mistake in doing that one. I thought it is a peak value, peak to peak value. That's right. That means it is a time varying here there, and here the peak to peak value is this much there. So that is a 0.5 torque there. And the output of the flow meter is taken to an amplifier of a gain. So this is an amplifier is connected. Gain is 1000, and what is it? Input impedance, I call it ZI or Z amplifier. is equal to 2.5 megohm. Okay. The effluent conductivity is such that the impedance of the liquid between the electrodes is 250 kilo ohm. So basically, Z effluent is equal to 250 kilo ohm. Okay. So number one, determine the effluent velocity when the peak to peak voltage of the amplifier output is 0.2. So this is your V out peak to peak is equal to 0.2 volt there. Okay, 0.2 volt there. So what we do is that if we look into the second part was that if the impedance of the liquid is increased by 20% due to the decrease in effluent conductivity, determine the percentage change in the amplifier output, flow area remaining the same. I think this is the A I had given. Have you read it? Yes? So,
Yes.
yeah? Any question? So basically what we can say ultimately, this is a, oh, okay, this is a uh, voltage generated there, induced in it, and there is a Z effluent, and there is a Z amplifier, and this is followed by a ideal amplifier. This is equal to gain is 1000. So this is your V0 there. So what it says is that the V out or V out I call it. So V out peak to peak is this one. So what is there? If I call it E0, so it is E0 is equal to V out divided by 1000. So here it is 0.2 divided by 1000 is equal to 2 into 2 into 10 to the power minus 4. Okay. So this is your E0. And then what is the value of E? We can say that E0 is equal to Z amplifier by Z effluent plus Z amplifier into E there. So what we can say is that E is equal to, what is that? 1 plus Z amp plus, Z effluent by Z amp into E0. Okay. So what is E0 is 2 into 10 to the power minus 4. So here it is 1 plus, what is Z effluent? Is 250 kilo ohm divided by 250 into 10 to the power 3 plus of, what is that? 2.5 into 10 to the power 6. Okay. That into, what is it? 2 into 10 to the power minus 4. So if we just calculate all the things, what is coming? Just please check it. I do mistakes. So I don't want to take any risk. It is 2.2 into 10 to the power minus 4. Is it all right?
Sir, there would not be addition, right,
Huh?
in denominator. In denominator, there is only Z amp.
I couldn't understand.
In denominator,
Huh?
there is only Z amp and not Z effluent plus Z amp.
I just reduce it, Z effective, so inverse it. So what is that? It is Z amp in the denominator, and here, first of all, E0. What is E0? Is equal to this divided by total impedance into E. And this I just simply reversed it. So here it is 1 plus ZF by Zm.
Sir, while putting the values,
Huh?
while you have substituted the values,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is so. It is 2.5 into 10 to the power 6 there. Oh, acha, acha. Why? Substituting the value
No, sir. That should
no
be
sir,
2.5 to 10 per 3.
Huh? 250, that is basically
250.
250 into 10 to the power 3. Huh? That's what I
Sir,
mean.
and in the denominator,
Why? What is this? ZF plus Z amp divided by Z amp. You inverse it. What is it? It is Z amp by ZF plus Z amp. Z amp. So if we inverse it, what we do it? 1 plus Z effluent by Z amp. That's what I am doing. Oh,
sir, you have,
should not.
yes sir.
Thank you. So this is here there. Thank you very much. So what is the value? It is 2.2 into 10 to the power minus 4. Just check it. So this E is equal to B into L into V. So here also peak to peak. B is also peak to peak. And what is L? L is D. So here it is 2.2 into 10 to the power minus 4 is equal to 0.1 into L is D, that is 5 into 10 to the power minus 2. Because 5 centimeter is the dia, 5 into 10 to the power minus 2 and then into V dear. So if you do the calculation, what is coming? Just according to my calculation, it is 4.4 centimeter per second. Just you check it like this. Or basically, it is 4.4 centimeter per second. And next is that the second stage, the velocity remains the same, but ZF is increased by what percentage? It is percentage by 20%. So it is ZF dashed is equal to 1.2 into 250 kilo ohm is equal to 300 kilo ohm. So naturally what is happening is that this E remains the same, but this one is different conductivity. This one is increased by this one. So naturally, what would be the value of the V out and how much would it change? So the same thing I will go in the reverse direction. So what we get is that E0 dashed is equal to E0 dashed is equal to E into E0 dashed is equal to that Z effluent, that is Z amplifier by Z effluent dashed plus Z amplifier into E. E remains the same. And if you do the things there, you will be, according to my calculation, I always do many mistakes. So here according to my calculation, it comes to be is equal to 0.196. Okay, or rather what we can say is that 1.96 into 10 to the power minus 4 volt there. So there is a drop in the voltage due to the Auckland conductivity of this one, and that the error will come about that one. I think it is around 2% error there. Please check it. I am not sure whether I must have done some mistake also like this. So the point is that you see another difficulty of the there, electromagnetic flow meter is also there. That is, it all depends upon the what is the effluent conductivity, electrical conductivity, and second thing is that and its variation. So because we will have to consider the whole thing using an amplifier, internal impedance and all the things there. So these things will also, if the variation is large, this thing will also give you some more errors there. Okay. So is it okay? Any doubt? Any question? If it is not, I will take 5 minutes break, then we'll come back.